Hello everyone and welcome back to Wonder Weirdness and Witchcraft. Now this is my take 2 of this video that I was just live on this video, but we are experiencing storm-like situations here, so my connection wasn't very good. I was filming on my phone, however. So now I'm on my computer, which means the picture probably won't be as good, but you know, what can we do? I really want to do this video. I really want to talk Malocchio with you guys. So if anyone who is trickling in, who was watching this before, I'm sorry, I am going to have to repeat myself. So thank you for holding out. Again, like I said before, I won't be kind of responsive in the chat for now until I open up later for questions about the Malocchio. So what is Il Malocchio? Now in Italian, Il Malocchio means the evil eye. Now almost every culture has some form of belief or tradition in the evil eye. There's the Greeks, Roman traditions, and most definitely the Italians. Now, for the Italians, the evil eye is something that is often given or cast unintentionally. And it's done so by being envious or jealous of someone. So they do also believe that witches, the Stregheria, can also cast intentionally the evil eye. But for the most part, 90 to 95% of the time, Il Malocchio is cast unintentionally through envy or jealousy. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about a few ways that you can protect yourself from Il Malocchio. Just briefly, because I did touch on it in another video, Charms of Stregheria, it probably would have been last year, if not the year before. Really, I haven't done a Stregheria series in a while, so have a look back. I might link it down in the down bar below. But I'm going to show you some charms that are quite protective against Il Malocchio. So the first is the corno. Now you guys might recognize this as the little red chili. The little red chili that you see, you know, dangling from rearview mirrors of Italians and things like that. Now, traditionally, the corno is carved from red coral, which the Italians hold to be highly protective. Otherwise, the corno is made from pure silver or pure gold. Now, it's not actually, it looks like a red chili, but many believe that it's not actually meant to be a chili at all. Some of the Italians believe that it is actually the horn, or it's meant to symbolize or represent the horn of the devil. Now, they believe that because the devil is so evil and the horn, obviously being a part of the devil's form, is equally as evil as what the devil is. So they think that if you hold something that is so evil on your person, then nothing else evil can touch you, including Il Malocchio. Now the other one is La Chimaruta, which is the sprig of rue charm, which I talked about in my other video as well. But the rue plant and the sprig of rue is very much as well a protective herb and a protective symbol, especially for witches, for children, and for Il Malocchio. Now, how does one know that you've you know got the evil eye, that you've got Il Malocchio? Now, usually the first signs are headaches, sickness, nausea, things that are quite sudden. So if you quite suddenly have a headache or you quite suddenly feel sick about something, often as well, babies can you know, are quite susceptible to receiving Il Malocchio, babies and pregnant women. Babies, you know, people will come over and they'll phone, oh, what a beautiful baby. You know, they might you know, subconsciously, unknowingly be, you know, jealous or envious of this baby and how cute it is. So often babies will, you know, get the evil eye. And you know when a baby has the evil eye, because it will cry and cry and cry and cry to the point where there's just no settling this baby, and they will become very disturbed, very unsettled. You know, and then often, you know, the nonna will take the baby and she'll go into somewhere private, and, you know, magically the baby is calm and settled and asleep and no longer crying, you know. It's because the nonna, the strega, has removed this curse. Pregnant women as well become, again, susceptible to the evil eye, because, you know, that whole image of being pregnant and fertile, and, you know, often pregnant women have this glow about them. You know, people are often envious of that. You know, subconsciously at least anyway, and that's how the evil eye is kind of distributed. Now, other ways as well that you can protect yourself from the evil eye are little hand gestures and little hand symbols. So, you know, if you're talking to someone, and often this is a good thing to do if someone's giving you compliments, you know, while they might be complimenting you, they as well might be envious and jealous of you as well. So one way that you can protect yourself is by doing this. No, you don't rock on. This is, again, another symbol of the devil's horns. That is quite protective as well. So you'll often see symbols like this. Also, you know, pendants and charms like this will be, you know, cast in silver or gold and worn around the neck, again, to symbolize the devil and the devil's horns for protection. Now, usually, someone's going to be complimenting you and you're like, yeah, no. This is something that's done behind your back, down by your side, and you usually do this. So this is something that you usually just kind of wave it around or something while someone is complimenting you or something like that. Another thing you can do is the old got your nose trick, you know. This, again, is a very powerful symbol, of, if we're talking pagan, of, you know, the great rite. You know, obviously this being symbolic of the feminine and this being symbolic of the masculine and their unity. So that is, again, a very popular and very symbolic and protective gesture that you can make as well. And this one's called Malocchio or Malocchia. And that, as well as, you know, just, again, behind you, sorry, my dog is just scratching the flight screen. Behind you, down by your side, things like that. Missy, no. She's managed to open the door. Just having a look through here. And now she's made her way inside the house. Oh my goodness. What are you doing? She's not allowed in the house, you guys. She's a farm dog. But there's storms happening, so she gets scared. She's a little wuss. Anyway. So I've talked to you about how you can get the evil eye, how you can give the evil eye, and how you can protect yourself from the evil eye. But, you know, how do you know that you actually have the evil eye and not just a headache or a form of sickness? Yeah, like, how do you actually know? Now, this is when, you know, people would traditionally go to the strega or imagi, the wise people, the wise woman of the village. And she or he would be able to tell you through a form of divination, which I will be showing you. Hello. My dog is walking around the kitchen. What are you doing? If you sit there, I'm not going to get angry and kick you out. Anyway. So they would go to, you know, the strega, and they would perform a divination, which you are probably a little bit familiar with, and it's the oil and water form of divination. Now, I've got some water here, and I've got some oil here in a little shot glass. I'm not going to be shotting the oil in. Apparently that's meant to be very good for you, but I just can't bring myself to do it. And that is why we're all in my kitchen, y'all, because, you know, again, taking it back to this, you know, this simplistic magic, you know, just Stregheria, they did not have, you know, elaborate altar rooms or consultation rooms. They, you know, had their kitchen or their living room, you know, usually one in the same, that also doubled as a bedroom, you know. So, you know, people would come to the Stregheria and she'd sit you down and she would, you know, bring a bowl. So I've got a bowl here. Doesn't have to be a very deep bowl, but, you know, you've got a bowl. And she would fill it with water. So she would pour the water in. And what she would do then is she would take the oil. Now, one way for you to know whether you've got a Malocchio is when you drip the oil into the water. So usually it's done traditionally with the thumb, and you do 3 drops of oil, one on top of the other. One, 2, 3. Now you look at the bowl, you look at the oil. Now, what you can determine from this form of scrying is if you drip them on top of one another, if they don't separate, then there's no evil eye. If they separate, then yes, there is a chance you've got the evil eye. Now, if they separate, if it doesn't necessarily, you know, oil is meant to float on top of the water. That's just naturally how it is meant to go. If it separates and smears and doesn't really work like it's meant to, then you'll know that you've got the evil eye as well. Okay. Now, so say I've just done it. I can see that I don't have the evil eye. Great. But if I did, how do I remove the evil eye? Now, this is something that, let me just wipe this oil off my finger. This is something that is secret to the Stregheria. So I'm going to tell you half of it, half of the information, unfortunately. But, you know, the incantations and prayers that are done are secret. Now, if there are a few different ways to do it, and that's why I'm not going to tell you, you know, all of it, because there are a few different ways for one to do it, and, you know, the different ways call for different prayers and different incantations. But generally speaking, the sign of the cross will be made over the bowl a few times. The sign of the cross will be made over the person's head a few times. Sometimes it'll be done on the forehead. Sometimes it'll be done on the heart. Sometimes it'll be done on the back of the neck. Sometimes even the wrists and the bottoms of the feet as well, depending on how, you know, full on it is. But generally, most usually the sign of the cross is made. Secondly, over the bowl, over the person. Secondly, salt is also used. Usually, I've got my container of rock salt here. Usually 3 pinches of salt will be dripped into the bowl. 1, 2, 3. All the while, these incantations and these spells and these prayers are being said. Sometimes as well, you will have 2 needles, 2 sewing needles, and you will stick the point of one needle into the eye of the other needle and drop that into the bowl. Sometimes as well, you will get scissors, and I don't think I've got any scissors. You will get some scissors and you will cut the air above the bowl. You'll cut the air above this person's head as well. Cut the air above the bowl and drop the scissors like open into the water to physically cut that. So those are some, and you know, again, all the while prayers and incantations are being done. Now, what's then, you know, what happens after we do this? We leave it, we let it sit for a little while, the person goes. The strega will, you know, usually just tip it down the sink or down the toilet to kind of flush it away. Or she'll, you know, tip it into the stream or something to flush it away from her, away from her house, away from her space. Or his space. I'm sorry, what am I saying? I'm a feminist, guys, what can I say? So, you know, it'll be discarded of in a sense that it is being away from you. It's flushed down the toilet. It is put down the sink. It is put into the stream, flowing away from the house or from the place. And then the person will come back. And the same thing is done. The strega will get her oil and she will drip the oil into the water and she'll observe it and she'll see what happens. Okay, again, I'm sorry, but they're spreading around. We haven't, you know, completely removed the Malocchio, so we'll do it again. We'll do the signs of the crosses. This time she might even anoint the person with the olive oil. You know, she'll get her salt again. She'll get her scissors, she'll get her pins and needles, and, you know, she'll do the ritual again and again and again. And depending on the severity of the curse, depends on how many times this process, this spell, this ritual has to be done. Intense by doing this oil and water thing, you can get a sense for how intense it is. You know, you can kind of see that, you know, the first time you do it, if the oil is all smeared and everywhere across the water, then it's going to be pretty bad. But then each time you do it, if it kind of is being contained and contained and contained until you do get that final one globule, I think that's a word, one globule, I don't know, glob of oil in the middle, or, you know, wherever it is on top of the water, and it's acting in the way that it's meant to act, then you can kind of get a sense of if this ritual is working, how many more times you have to do this ritual, to make sure that you're completely clean or free of il Malocchio. That's pretty much about all of my speech. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the chat up on my phone and let's have a read to see what's happening. I'm going to say hello to a few people. I see Alchemy's back, Tempest of Nature, hello. Now I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions at all. You know, especially people who aren't of the tradition, or of Italian heritage at all. If you've got any questions to do with il Malocchio or the processes or the prayers, quite frankly, I mean, a lot of the incantations and the prayers are Christian, are Catholic prayers. Most usually they will invoke God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. As you're doing the sign of the cross, most often they'll involve calling upon Archangel Michael, calling on various saints, calling on Mother Mary to remove the curse. It is very much a Catholicized ritual now, I think, and it has been for a long time, and that's the way that I know it to be, and that's the way that a lot a lot of Strega will practice it, because like I've said in lots of different videos, you know, the Strega, they were practicing Catholics, and you know, they'd go to church on a Sunday, come home, and you know, do the Malocchio spell. So, you know, a lot of those things involving, you know, saints and the signs of the cross and things like that were brought into their practices and into their spells. Excuse me, I have to yawn. So that's why a lot of them are Catholic prayers and Catholic spells. There are some that are not. There are some incantations and some spells that don't have a Christian flavour, but for the most part, a lot of them do have a very strong Catholic kind of flavour to them when you're doing this ritual. So Labradorite Wolf has a question. How can you tell if someone is of the Stregheria tradition? Would they wear symbols or be found somewhere like a home? So in Italy, particularly in the south, where there's a lot of townships, a lot of towns that are quite poor, you know, there's one person that is known for this type of thing. There's one person that people go to have their Malocchio removed, or to have spells cast for them, or other curses removed, things like that. There's this person that people will go to for folk remedies and folk healings and things like that as well. So there isn't necessarily one, you know, specific way of knowing. Generally within Italian communities, people will just know. You know, there might be one particular family that have always done this type of thing. For a lot of Italians, particularly of the younger generation, this is something that the older generation of Italians, so the nonnos and the nonnas, or the grandparents, will do. I'm just going to close my door now, guys, because it's raining now. Yay! And I'm going to try to attempt to get my dog out. Come on. Come on. Come on with me. Come on. Come on. Come here. Come on. Come here. She's not going anywhere, and she is shaking like a leaf. You're such a scaredy cat. She's literally sitting behind me in front of the oven. Crazy. So yeah, there isn't, for, you know, the Italian witches, there isn't witches in the sense, not Italian pagans. Italian witches in the sense there isn't a real distinguishing kind of factor, because like I said, they will go to church on a Sunday and they will come home and, you know, do this ritual and do this spell. So there isn't a real way for you to identify an Italian witch. It's just something that again is just known. There's always the one person or the one family that are involved in doing this, and that's just what everyone knows. So if there isn't any other questions, you guys, I'm going to sign off and say thank you for watching another episode in the Stregheria series. If you've got any questions and you're watching this as a playback about Stregheria or Malocchio, please let me know in the comments below. And I'd be happy to answer them via comments or via, you know, other videos. So thank you very much. Much love, everyone, and many blessings.